Alright, so let's jump right into it. This is my 2002 Toyota Tacoma. This is a 4x4 with a rear locker, all OEM stock, and it has some problems. So I got this from a friend. Not sure the condition on the engine, whether it was a head gasket or needing a new engine. My boroscope told me real quick that my piston was really banged up and I needed a new engine. So I went ahead and just started taking out everything that I needed to get the engine out of there. And moving forward, I basically just cleared out the whole front of the engine base. The radiator was out, the fan was out, and all the belts were off. Then it was time to drain the oil, which looked more like a caramel milkshake than oil. And then went ahead and lifted this thing out of here. Apologies for the vertical videos, but I filmed a lot of this for TikTok also. And the engine was then out of there. It's kind of hard to film since I was working in the rain and rolling around in mud. So I didn't get the best footage of this, but I'll go ahead and show you guys the process that I went through. And here is the original engine taken out, and as you can see at first glance it looks fine, but then once you start taking things apart and once I took the heads off, you can see that there was quite a lot of damage. So the valve cracked and completely came apart and was banging around inside the cylinder for a little while there. So that explains why it wasn't running good. And I went ahead and got a new, to me, engine from a scrapyard that was 130k miles on it. So that's pretty low for these things, and I didn't really film it, but here it was in. This was actually its first startup, and it somehow ran really well, although with a high idle. So I went ahead and bled the coolant and made sure it wasn't overheating. And I had some issues with a vacuum leak, which led me to jump into the fuel injectors and rebuilding those. And after that, I drove it home to Southern California, and it was finally time to do some fun stuff. So I went ahead, jacked this thing up, took off the wheels, and got a new lift kit ready to go and slap this thing on here. So this was a Bilstein lift kit from Toytec. Came with Toytec front springs and then the Bilstein shocks and then an add-a leaf for the rear. And this was pretty straightforward to do, and I filmed most of it, so let's jump right into it. Okay, and your first step is obviously going to be to remove the wheel and get access to your suspension. Now mine was recently replaced, but I went ahead and just sprayed everything with PB Blaster just to make sure it was nice and easy. And it's really just going to be these 3 bolts on the top hat here, and then your 1 main bolt on the bottom to get your shock out. And then I was also doing my upper control arm, so I had to take off this castle nut there and press that out, which I just got a rental tool from O'Reilly. And this was the new shock in there. It looked nice and pretty, and that was the rental tool that I used to press out the upper control arm bushing. And the reason I am taking out these upper control arms is because I got SPC adjustables, and this is because my 33s that I have will not fit without rubbing the stock control arms. And so far I can't complain at all with them. They've held up really well and got my alignment exactly where I wanted it. And this was all done, so now it was time to get the new wheels and tires mounted and see how this thing looks. My number 1 pick for the wheels that I wanted was the SSW Sierra wheels, but I really wanted machined silver. Luckily, they restocked on Black Friday, and I picked them up, and I wrapped them in 33-inch Falken wildpeaks, 285/70/17s, and my friend got them on the alignment rack and aligned the truck perfectly, and here it is, all done. I don't have the best videos in horizontal. Most of my stuff is on TikTok. Check out my TikTok if you want to see more videos on this thing, and that's going to be it for this video. I got a ton more coming. This is just the first one. And coming up next, we got front bumper and a bunch of other good stuff coming in. So stay tuned.